Chapter 201 Hypocritical Reality. Grandma, what's wrong? Anran suddenly rushed to Zhao Xumi's bedside and knelt while crying. Anran, Grandma is ill, Liero said. Grandma, what's wrong with you? Anran held her hand and cried. She felt Zhao Xumi's pulse, which was strong, and stronger than a young person in every aspect. She didn't seem to be ill at all. It seems like this was really a trick to gain sympathy. Since she was going to act, she would play with her. Anran, Grandma can't make it anymore. You must live well with Yaxin from now on. Zhao Xumi started to remind her. On the surface she looked kind, but inside she was disgusted. Seeing Anran cry like this, she really thought that she was going to die. What an uninfile thing. She probably couldn't wait to see her die, right? Grandma, don't worry. I will definitely take good care of Yaxin. Anran smiled while Yaxin watched from the side, horrified. She didn't know what evil was contained in that smile. Grandma, you'll be all right. You'll get better. Yaxin pretended to cry as well. Oh, right. Yanran doesn't know yet. I'll call Yanran over to send Grandma off as well as the members of the Lan family to take one last look at Grandma. Yanran was about to make a phone call as she spoke, waiting to see how Zhao Xumi would continue with her act. No, it's all right. I want to die alone quietly. I know my body, and I don't like to be disturbed by too many people. Zhao Xumi panicked. It seemed that this brat couldn't wait for her to die. All right, you'll have to see your biological grandson one last time. He is the only descendant of the Lan family. Anran spoke sadly and called Yanran decisively. Mom, you have to hold on, Liero encouraged her. Zhao Xumi wanted to roll her eyes at her. This bunch of people really looked forward to her being dead. When it was over, she would teach these ingrates a lesson. What nonsense are you saying? The test results haven't come out yet, and you're already cursing her? Lan Tingyi said dissatisfied. At this moment, a nurse from the hospital came in to inform them. All Mrs. Lan results are out. Any one of you can go get them and discuss the illness with the attending physician. I'll go. Anran appeared very enthusiastic and walked out of the ward before Lan Tingyi could say anything. She went to the counter to check the test results and looked at it seriously. There wasn't any illness. This old lady was indeed pretending to be ill. At this moment, she saw a medical case in the trash can beside her. It had the same name as Zhao Xumi and was unfortunately diagnosed with lung cancer. This would give Anran a chance. She took the test results to the doctor, told him that her grandma was very healthy, showed the real test results to the doctor, and asked for the discharge procedures before the doctor agreed. On the way back to the ward, she ran into Lan Tingyi. He was worried about Anran and was afraid that she was up to no good, so he wanted to stop her. Uncle, Anran, what did your grandma's doctor say? Tingyi reached out to look at the medical records. Anran started to cry. Grandma may not live much longer. Tingyi turned pale with fright and looked at the test results in disbelief. Lung cancer? He was shocked. This was a trick to gain sympathy. How did she really get lung cancer? The two of them returned to the ward in a daze. Zhao Xumi was brainwashing Ting Yang, and seeing that Ting Yang was about to sign the guarantee, Anran suddenly broke down and cried, Grandma! This was interrupted by Anran sobbing. Ting Yang spoke solemnly. Anran, what's wrong? Dad, Grandma, she has cancer. Anran cried as she pounced on Zhao Xumi. What? Zhao Xumi was stunned as she glared at Tingyi. Tingyi lowered his head, appearing very sad. Mom. He handed the test report to Zhao Xumi. Zhao Xumi was dumbfounded. How could she really have cancer? Mom, why don't you go to my hospital to have a look? Is there a mistake? Ting Yang was in disbelief. No, wait, this is the his mom's workplace. Although she retired, she still has many old colleagues. There's nothing wrong with that, Tingy spoke. It was precisely because Zhao Xumi had retired from the hospital that they could come over without worry, prepared to be discharged after signing the guarantee. They didn't expect things to turn out like this. The doctor said that Grandma is hopeless and wants us to go home. I have completed the discharge procedures. Grandma, let's go home. Anran buried her head in thought. At that moment, Yan ran around late. When he saw the room full of crying people, he didn't understand what was happening. Grandma, what's wrong? Yanran asked. Yanran, Grandma has cancer. Yanran cried, looking at him with reddened eyes. Yanran was a little shocked and cried loudly, Grandma! Seeing the people around her cry, Zhao Xumi completely believed that she was about to die. She didn't expect it to be true. Suddenly, the door opened and the nurse saw a room full of crying people. What are you doing? Anran held her breath, afraid that the nurse would say something. Chapter 202. Back to Ting Young's house. When my mom be cured? Ting asked. You can go back and recuperate well. There won't be any problem. The nurse's comforting words stabbed Zhao Xumi deeply. No, no, no! I won't be discharged. I want to treat my illness. I'm sick. I don't want to die. I can still be saved. Zhao Xumi's strong will to live gripped the nurse tightly. Old lady, let's go first. Go back and recuperate well. Your family members settled the discharge procedures already, right? Don't waste time here. We have other patients who need hospital beds. The nurse flung Zhao Xumi's hand away and walked out. Zhao Xumi was at a loss. She felt hopeless and broke down into tears. Grandma, let's get discharged. Anran was anxious to pack Zhao Xumi's things up. You brat, I'm not leaving the hospital. Are you hoping I'll die? Zhao Xumi took advantage of Anran's lowered head and kicked her. Grandma, it's not like that. You're in the late stages of your illness. Let's go home and be happy. You might even get better. You're a doctor too, so you know that joy can cure many diseases. Anran stood up to comfort her. Mom, if you really can't take it, we can go to another hospital to have a checkup. You'll be alright, Ting Young persuaded. Yeah, I'll definitely be fine. I'm going to another hospital to check. Zhao Xumi hurriedly packed her things and was discharged. She went to 5 hospitals in total and visited every hospital in Wrong City. The results were the same: lung cancer. Even Lanting Young's traditional Chinese medicine hospital had the same result. Zhao Xumi was completely dumbfounded. She was really going to die. Grandma, come back to our house. Uncle's finances haven't been good recently. You need to recuperate from your illness. Don't worry. I'll definitely serve you well when we're back. I won't anger you anymore. In the past, I was insensible. But now that Grandma is ill, I want to take good care of you, Anran said guiltily. Xu Yanshan was overjoyed. She had taken most of old Mrs. Lance's money, and if she got cancer, she didn't want her to die in her own house. She then said, upset, Mom, choose for yourself. Ting and I welcome you. But there might not be anything good for you. We're too unfiled. Mom's health is deteriorating, and we don't have the money to buy medicine for her. Zhao Xumi had just suffered a blow and didn't even have the strength to speak. She looked down at her 2 sons with sincere expressions and pointed to Lan Tingyang. Wouldn't she be a burden to her eldest son? Besides, she had to get the house back before her death. Tingyang took the initiative and said, Mom, Tingy took care of you all the time. I'll take good care of you now that you're ill. Come home with me. With that, Tingyang carried Zhao Xumi home. Tingyang, we'll send Mom things over later. Xu Yanshan's tone was relaxed and happy. At the Lan family, Zhao Xumi's room was arranged next to Anran. Anran had asked for it, claiming that it was to facilitate the care of her grandma. Xu Yanshan placed Zhao Xumi's things at Lan Tingyang's house, reminded him a few more times, and left. Young, can I still get better? Zashumi asked anxiously. She wasn't uncomfortable at all, but ever since the diagnosis was made, she had been experiencing all kinds of discomfort, especially her lungs, which made her feel that she is indeed ill. Mom, you're a cardiologist, and should know that your illness is terminal. But don't worry, I'll definitely treat you with the best medicine. Young promised. Young, I don't want to die, Zashumi cried. Mom, I'll do my best to save you. Young and his mother cried bitterly. Anran watched from the side in an entertaining mood. Old people like to play dead. Now that her beautiful dream has come true, she'd be very satisfied, right? Sis, you... Yanran quickly caught a trace of Anran's strange smile. He pulled his sister aside and whispered, Sis, is Grandma all right? Anran looked at her brother vigilantly. How did he know? What did you say? Grandma is already like this. I know, sis. Don't try to deceive me. I saw your smile. Yanran was certain. Brat. Grandma pretended to be ill first. I'll make her suffer these next few days, Yanran explained. Yanran admired his sister more and more, giving her a thumbs up. Grandma, you can't die. Yanran used his abilities and wailed. Dad, I'll take care of Grandma in the future. You and Mom will be busy at the hospital and won't be able to find time. Brother is still young and I'm the eldest daughter of the family. I should take good care of Grandma. Anran spoke in anguish. Young nodded. It made sense. The hospital was getting busier and busier, so he couldn't leave. Anran, tell us if you can't do it. We'll hire a nurse. It's all right. I can do it. Anran nodded. The year found her child more and more sensible. Young cooked many dishes for dinner, but Zashumi didn't move her chopsticks. Mom, you have to eat to get better. Young comforted her. I have no appetite. Zashumi explained and continued to sit on the bed in a daze. Young's explanation was useless, and he was even scolded by Zashumi. Chapter 203. I'm a pig. Grandma, I'll leave this in the kitchen. Eat if you're hungry. Anran spoke through the door. In the middle of the night, Zashumi was famished and secretly went down to the kitchen to look for food. Grandma, what are you looking for? Anran's sudden appearance behind Zashumi gave her a shock. I'm a little hungry. Zashumi was aggrieved. Grandma, tell us if you're hungry. I'll get it for you. Previously, Anran had secretly fed the stray dogs at the door, so now there were only a few pieces of bread in the fridge. She took out some bread, smeared some chili sauce on it, and stacked several layers for Zashumi. The Lamb family knew that Zashumi didn't like bread, but Anran still gave it to her on purpose. She had no choice but to accept it while cursing her in her heart. She took a bite and her mouth was spitting fire. She didn't dare to voice it aloud and could only swallow it. What? Grandma, it seems you like bread, so eat more. Grandma, you're ill, so eat whatever you want. Anran smiled and said. Zashumi bit the bullet and finished the bread. She was furious. She didn't accomplish anything before she fell ill. She had to get what she deserved from her eldest son. Grandma, you must be dying to have some abalone porridge, right? I heard that Dad said it's your favorite. Don't worry, I'll make it for you tomorrow. Grandma, you should go to bed after you're full. Anran pushed Zashumi upstairs, covered her with a blanket, and secretly set an alarm before leaving. Zashumi didn't sleep well that entire night. The alarm on her head rang every 20 minutes, and her stomach was burning with a fiery pain. She was also very hungry and hadn't slept at all the entire night. Grandma, Dad told me to come and take good care of you this morning. It seems you have slept well yesterday, but today is Sunday. I especially went to the market to buy some tonics to nourish your body. Grandma, wait for me to finish making them. Anran seemed to be very filial at this time and was showing great concern for Zashumi. Yanran was stunned. Sis, you? Don't worry about it. Are you going to film today? Hurry. Anran urged her brother to leave so that she could have some space to face this old thing. Oh, sis, I'm leaving. Grandma, I'm leaving. Yanran looked at Zashumi and smiled. Sashimi sat alone in the living room while Ayn Rand boiled soup in the kitchen. Sashimi was so hungry, her stomach was rumbling. Ayn Rand, I'm a little hungry. Sashimi spoke in a deep voice. You're hungry? I'll be done soon. Ayn Rand comforted her, carrying a pot of large bone soup, a pot of fish soup, and a pot of chicken soup, and the abalone scallop soup in front of Sashimi. Grandma, this is your meal. You must finish it. Sashimi's pupils contracted. Did she think she was a pig? Am I a pig? She asked angrily. Grandma, your illness is caused by your weak body. You should nourish yourself more. Ayn Rand smiled and turned to the kitchen, placing several small dishes in front of her. Sashimi reached up to pick one up, but Ayn Rand moved it away. Grandma, you can't eat this. It won't be good for your illness. Drink more soup. This is for today. You must finish it. Ayn Rand sat opposite of Sashimi and stared at her while eating. Sashimi had no choice but to pick up her bowl and start eating one bowl after another. Grandma, this tastes good, right? I learned this recipe. Drink more, Grandma. I was unfaithful to you in the past. Now that you're ill, I will definitely take good care of you. Don't worry. Let me know if you want to eat anything. I promise you'll be happy. Ayn Rand spoke. Ayn Rand, tell your dad about the house and your uncle. I know that your dad listens to you the most. You must help Grandma. I only have one wish, and if I die... Shh, Grandma will definitely live to a ripe old age. Grandma, drink more, and you'll be better. Ayn Rand changed the topic and took the initiative to scoop more soup for Sashimi. Sashimi frowned. She drank a large pot and was too full to stand. Grandma, don't you love abalones? I'll continue to buy them tomorrow, and I'll make some abalone porridge for you. Let's have some soup first. This is very nourishing, and the chicken is very fragrant. Hurry and eat. And don't leave any behind. Ayn Rand grabbed a few pieces of abalones and tore a chicken drumstick for Sashimi. Ayn Rand, Grandma knows you're filial, but Grandma, really... Grandma, don't talk while eating. Hurry and eat. I'm done. Ayn Rand cleared her utensils and went to the kitchen to wash them. Sashimi reluctantly finished the food in her bowl. After the meal, Sashimi laid in bed and took a nap. Ayn Rand woke her up again. Grandma, do you know what time it is now? You must be hungry. Come down for lunch. I made your favorite food, and your dad said that he would get the medicine back for you tonight. It's the latest imported medicine, and I heard it's very useful. Ayn Rand pulled Sashimi downstairs. Sashimi was a little scared. She drank 3 pots of tonic soup at 8 a.m., and now she's going to eat again? Ayn Rand, I want to sleep. My body isn't well, and I don't want to eat. Sashimi was a little resistant. Grandma, it's been hours. You'll have to eat. Today is the abalone meal, your favorite. We'll eat whatever we want. Ayn Rand took off her apron, sat down, and served Sashimi a bowl of top-notch rice. Sashimi looked at the food with fear and helplessness. Chapter 204, The New Assistant. Suddenly, Ting Young called Ayn Rand, wanting to ask how Sashimi was doing at home. Dad, don't worry. I learned this from a recipe. Grandma sure eats a lot. Ayn Rand held up the phone for Ting Young to see. Sashimi had a smile on her face, and Ting Young was satisfied. He thought the two of them wouldn't get along, but it turned out to be harmonious. Ting Young, you... Dad, it's time to eat. I'm hanging up. Ayn Rand hung up and looked at Sashimi in confusion. What? Grandma, do you have something to say? Ayn Rand asked. No. Sashimi lowered her head to eat. She was too full to squat and sleep, so she decided to walk around the courtyard. Ayn Rand followed Sashimi closely. Ayn Rand, what if you go to school? Sashimi suddenly asked. She hoped that Ayn Rand would leave as soon as possible. She didn't want to see this unfiled granddaughter a minute longer. It's all right. I'll get someone to wait on you. Ayn Rand smiled and said. She had decided to invite the caregiver home when she went to school. She had discussed this with her parents, and Ting Young and Leo would come back to visit from time to time. At this moment, Mo Junrong called. How's the matter with Zero? Honey, don't worry. I'll find her. Just stay clean during this period. Ayn Rand teased. I don't have time to joke with you. Find her as soon as possible. Last time, did you have a bunch of Qian Xiang? Where is it now? Mo Jinrong spoke urgently. It was accidentally picked up by me, and I've been using it to make some soup. Anran lied calmly. What, you? Can't I? Why do you need it? Anran pretended to be curious. It's nothing. I'll give you a month. I hope you can find Zero. Mo Jinrong hung up after he finished speaking. Who is it? Zhao Shimi asked. It's all right, Grandma. You should go back to sleep, Anran smiled and said. Zhao Shimi sighed and left helplessly. After Mo Jinrong hung up, he called Mo San, who was far away in Langxi County. Go get it. Be careful. Young master, are you worried about me? Mo San smiled. It felt good to be cared for. I'm just saying, keep Xiang safe and don't kill it. It's very precious. Mo Jinrong hung up. There was a knock on the office door, and Mo Jinrong spoke in a deep voice. Enter. The door was pushed open, and a beautiful woman walked in. She wore 8-centimeter high heels, a professional short skirt, and black stockings, accentuating her perfect legs. Her collar was low, and she had bright red lips, long brownish red, wavy hair, and an exquisite little face that smiled at Mo Jinrong. She carried several documents in front of her chest and spoke softly. Boss Mo, I'm the little assistant Mr. Mo sent over. Since Butler Mo isn't around, I'll take his place. Mo Changwen even told you my identity? Mo Jinrong spoke coldly. Boss Mo, don't be so cold. The woman was about to approach Mo Jinrong when he stood up and opened the door. Get out. Boss Mo, I'm just a small assistant. I won't do anything to you. Mr. Mo asked me to assist you and help you find information. You don't have to be afraid, the woman smiled. Now I don't need you. Please get out. Mo Jinrong chided. The woman was shocked and walked out angrily. At this moment his phone suddenly rang. It was Mo Changwen. Jinrong, I saw that you didn't have an assistant and sent her over. Didn't you divorce Irma because of a woman? This assistant is very good and smart. You can use her first. Why did you chase her out? Mo Changwen chided. Uncle, thank you, but I don't need it. Mo Jinrong refused. You don't need it? Jinrong, you... Before Mo Changwen could finish speaking, Mo Jinrong hung up. Damn it! Mo Jinrong, just you wait. Mo Changwen looked at Mo Jinrong's office angrily. At night, Lan Tingyang went home to bring medicine for Zhao Shumi. These are imported special medicines. Where is your grandma? Tingyang asked. Grandma is sleeping. Dad, give me the medicine. I'll feed it to her later. You have no idea how much she ate today, so you don't have to worry. Anran spoke sensibly. Tingyang nodded and handed the medicine to Anran. Anran, did your grandma eat so well today? Liu smiled. There was still half a chicken and some abalones in the kitchen. Yeah, Grandma said she wanted abalone, so I bought some. Anran smiled and said, Okay, then let's make the rest of the poultry. Liu smiled. She could save on cooking. Anran went upstairs to bring the medicine to Zhao Shumi. She opened the bottle and saw the tablet similar to vitamin C inside. Zhao Shumi wasn't ill and would be exposed if she took up too much medicine. She decided to swap the 2 bottles of medicine, swapping them for vitamins to feed Zhao Shumi. Grandma, it's time for you to take my medicine. This is a special medicine. Let's go down for dinner after this. Anran woke Zhao Shumi. Zhao Shumi frowned and took the medicine. Her heart was heavy and she didn't know the medicine was vitamin. Anran, I don't want to eat anymore. She felt wrong. All right, then you can skip dinner. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Anran smiled, and Zhao Shumi sighed in relief. Chapter 205, The Plans for the Midterm Test. The next day, Anran made a big bowl of abalone porridge for Zhao Shumi and advanced in the morning. She watched her drink and finish her medicine before leaving for school with a peace of mind. Before leaving, she instructed the caretaker she had hired to make sure Zhao Shumi slept well and had 3 meals a day. Tingyang didn't say anything when he saw this. He just thought that his daughter was very thoughtful and kind. He was very grateful for everything she had done. In school, Yaxon went to find Ayn Rand after school. Ayn Rand, what did you do to Grandma? Why isn't she picking up my calls? Yaxon limped and said, We are serving Grandma well, don't worry. I wouldn't mistreat her. If you're really worried, why don't you go take a look for yourself? Why did you call? Ayn Rand smiled. Before Zhao Shumi entered the Lan family's house, Ayn Rand had confiscated her phone under the pretext of disturbing Zhao Shumi's rest, which is why Yaxon couldn't get through. Let me tell you, if you dare to mistreat Grandma, I won't forgive you. Yaxon was dissatisfied. Abuse? Don't you know who tortured Grandma? If it wasn't for the fact that her life wasn't going well in your house, Grandma wouldn't have come to my house. She's enjoying herself now. 10,000 times better than at your house. Ayn Rand smiled. Yaxon didn't believe that Ayn Rand would take care of Grandma with such kindness. Grandma might even be placed under house arrest by this brat. She would definitely visit Grandma after school, not because of anything else, but because she could make her pay if she tortured an old lady. Is he a male celebrity or a male model? Gu Qi sneered. Yanking nudged Gu Qi and looked at her with dissatisfaction. Although Ayn Rand had changed departments, he was still her male idol. She couldn't let him be tarnished. Speaking of Ayn Rand, his new show is about to start, so we can support him, Ayn Rand smiled and said. Do you think Grandma would be willing? Yaxon wanted to bring up Zhao Shumi again. Grandma is worried about her cancer. Besides, doesn't she still want her old house? You can forget about bringing old Mrs. Lan up with Ayn Rand's matter. She can't even protect herself now. Ayn Rand smiled at her, turned, and left. Damn it. Yaxon was suppressed by Ayn Rand in every aspect. She was hopeless. Only hatred was left in her. Yaxon, don't be angry. She didn't make it onto the rankings. There's nothing magical about it. The midterm is about to start. We will definitely surpass her if we study hard. Yang King comforted her. Speaking of midterm exams, I'm really scared. Gu Qi was worried. What are you scared of? Our results are better than the ordinary classes. We won't be eliminated, don't worry. Yang King spoke confidently. Why don't we... Yang King had an idea and she whispered into their ears. What if we're exposed? Gu Qi was a little worried. It's alright, we can just deny it. Yang King looked at Yaxon. She didn't say anything, which meant she agreed. Yaxon smiled. She had never missed a move like this. Let's go back to class, Yaxon spoke softly. The classroom was bustling with discussion about the exam. Ayn Rand, are you scared? Sun Hai walked over and asked. Ayn Rand shook her head. She never took school exams seriously. What are you afraid of? Your master is so powerful. Can we still be eliminated? Zhao Xiaolei smiled and said, That's true, but we don't let our guard down either. Sun Hai finally smiled. Zhao Xiaolei looked at Sun Hai and suddenly found her pretty when she smiled. Lin Shang walked over from behind and spoke to Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand, I have decided. I'm going to chase you and make you my girlfriend. The whole class started to cheer, sweeping away the gloom from the test. Lin Shang, what's wrong with you? Zhao Xiaolei cursed in disbelief. Ayn Rand was shocked as well. Did he damage his brain? I'm not crazy. I've thought it through. I'm going to get you. Lin Shang swore. What could be more revengeful than chasing her and dumping her? The previous incident didn't happen at all. Because of his father, he had to rest for a while, but it definitely wasn't because he forgives her. Lin Shang, you're so childish, Ayn Rand spoke disdainfully. Wait and see. After Lin Shang finished speaking, Li Yu walked in and returned to their seats, planning his pursuit of Ayn Rand. After school, Lin Shang wanted to send Ayn Rand home, but she rejected the offer and missed the chance to go home with Yaxon. Zhao Shumi was in the Lan family house, had just woken up after being forced by the caregiver, and turned to look at Yaxon with tearful eyes. Yaxon, my good granddaughter, what took you so long to visit Grandma? Zhao Shumi hugged Yaxon and cried. Grandma, are they mistreating you? Yaxon wiped Zhao Shumi's tears. Your second uncle doesn't mistreat me. But I have to sleep and eat here. It's so boring and no one talks to Grandma. I've been through a lot. Zashimi cried. Chapter 206, Reasoning with Emotion. Grandma, you suffered. I'll get Mom and Dad to pick you up. Yaksen stood up and said. Don't. Your parents' financial condition isn't good either. I might just pass away on that day. Are your parents worried about my illness? I can't implicate them. I can still eat the special medicine your second uncle gave me while I'm here, so I can live a few more days. In addition, I'll have to find a chance to talk to your second uncle about the hospital, and the house, and the job for your father, so that I can leave without worry. Zashimi would die, still thinking about her eldest son. She wouldn't rest in peace until these issues were resolved. Yaksen sighed internally. Her parents were busy gambling and playing mahjong, so they didn't have time to think about Grandma. She was only here to find evidence of the Land family's abuse, but she hadn't found anything yet. Grandma, what are you saying? Don't worry. You'll get better. I'm leaving. I'll tell Mom and Dad to come and see you. Yaksen stood up and walked out. When she ran into Anran. Are you here to see if I tortured Grandma? Anran smiled and asked. I haven't seen Grandma in a long time, and I was missing her. Do you think everyone is so evil as you? Yaksen spoke disdainfully. You're giving up so quickly? Seems like you don't miss Grandma at all. Anran laughed mockingly as she brushed past Yaksen. Yaksen's here. Leo rushed back to visit Zashimi during her lunch break. Second aunt, I'm leaving. I'm here to visit Grandma on the behalf of my parents. They were very busy now, and Grandma seems to be doing well. I'll make a move first. There's still class in the afternoon. Yaksen left with a smile. Mom, it's time for lunch, right? Did anyone cook anything? Leo placed her bag down and asked. Madam, everything is ready. We will give old Mrs. Land some tonics as per your requirements to nourish your body, the caregiver said. Leo looked at the table of dishes and nodded with satisfaction. Zashimi frowned. She hadn't digested the abalone porridge in the morning, and it was a meal full of nourishments. In the afternoon, who could endure this? Mom, eat more. These are good things for your health. Is the medicine effective? Leo scooped a big bowl of abalone porridge for Zashimi and placed it in front of her. It's alright. It doesn't have much of an effect. I feel my health is deteriorating day by day. Zashimi sighed. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Ting-Young and I will definitely try our best to treat you. Liu comforted her. Forget it. The hospital doesn't want me anymore. I'm running out of gas. Hiro, how long have you been married to the Land family? Zashimi recalled. More than 10 years. Liu thought about it. That was fast. Hiro, I know that Ting-Young gets along with you all the time and listens to you the most. Tell Ting-Young that I still want to go back to the old house. I want to go back to the roots after I'm dead, so please fulfill my wish, Zashimi sighed and said. Liu was at a loss. This was Ting-Young's mother, and logically she should help her, but she couldn't afford the house. Mom, it's not that I don't want to help you, but the money to buy the house has been invested in the hospital, and there isn't much money left at home. I think we should wait for Ting-Young to come back and discuss this with him. Liu couldn't make the decision directly and could only play along. Grandma, don't think about it anymore. Hurry and finish the abalone porridge. There's also turtle soup here. It's very nourishing. Well, have some more. Anran blew on the spoon for Zashimi and sent it to her mouth. She had to drink it. Yuro, tell Anran I don't want to eat anymore. Zashimi turned to Liu for help. She knew that Anran was taking revenge on her, but she was afraid that the house would be gone if she said anything, so she could only swallow her anger. Mom, Grandma didn't eat much when you weren't around. Perhaps because of her illness. Grandma always says that she doesn't have an appetite. You'll have to persuade her. Anran spoke sincerely. Mom, you have to eat more. Be good. Liu started to persuade as well. It was rare to see her daughter at peace with old Mrs. Land, so she was very pleased. Zashimi had no choice but to bite the bullet. At the Mo family, Mo-san had returned from Langshi County with some Kan-Chiang. Young master, the items have been sent to the laboratory, Mo-san said. Okay, bring me the company's recent pharmaceutical sales record and account book, Mo Jinrong said. Young master, these should have been looked at yet last month. Why haven't you read the account books in the past few days when I wasn't around? Am I that important? Mo-san chuckled and said, Enough nonsense. Bring it to me. Mo Jinrong spoke in a deep voice. Understood. Mo-san lowered his head and brought the accounts to Mo Jinrong's table. Young master, how are things between you and Miss Lan? Mo-san asked. Nothing much. What else can she do after the divorce? Mo Jinrong looked at the flower bed calmly, signaling Mo-san to keep quiet with his gaze. Mo-san seemed to understand and shut his mouth obediently. He stared at the flower bed with his eyes and finally noticed a medium-sized wire tape by the side of the flower bed. It was stuck in the inner side of the flower bed and would be difficult to notice if he wasn't paying attention. Mo-san, has old Mrs. Mo did anything after my divorce? Chapter 207, The Wiretap. Mo-san hurriedly replied, Young master, go coax old Mrs. Mo. She hasn't been able to eat well in the past few days and is worried sick about you. Mo-san said, I'll go take a look then. Tell old Mrs. Mo that I won't remarry Lan Anran. Mo Jinrong faced the wiretap and said coldly. Mo Changwen was listening to everything. He arranged for the assistant to install the wiretap in the flower bed to monitor Mo Jinrong. Young master, Miss Lan is looking forward to your reconciliation. I'm going to the nightclub today. Mo Jinrong spoke coldly. Mo-san was startled, not knowing whether it was true or not. Yes, young master. Mo-san and Jinrong didn't say a word in the office until after work. After leaving the Mo Corporation, Mo-san spoke. Young master, are you really going to the nightclub? Yes, Tan Lin is back from abroad. Mo Jinrong had his hands in his pockets as he spoke calmly. Tan Lin, the dark horse that appeared in the financial world a few years ago? Mo-san asked curiously. Yeah. Do you know why he suddenly disappeared 4 years ago? Mo-san asked curiously. Tan Lin had always been known as a financial genius. A few years ago, he swept the entire financial world at a young age. He had helped his family earn a year's worth of profits. He was the heir that old Master Tan favored. But he disappeared as he peaked. No one knew the reason. I don't know. I know tonight. Mo Jinrong got into the car and said, What about Miss Lan? Mo-san asked. We're just partners, a married couple in name but not in reality. She can be considered my helper, so there's no need to report my whereabouts to her. Start the car, Mo Jinrong ordered. Mo Changwen saw everything from upstairs and immediately sent someone to keep an eye on Mo Jinrong, wanting to see if he was really going to the nightclub. At the Moon Bar, there were many people in the bar that night, so Mo Jinrong chose a private room, so he enjoyed peace and quiet. Why are you suddenly back? Mo Jinrong asked. Can't I come back? I've suffered a lot abroad in the past few years. Sitting opposite, Mo Jinrong was a man with handsome features and deep eyes. He held a glass of red wine and drank it all in one gulp. You were famous a few years ago and hid yourself at your peak. I want to know the reason, Mo Jinrong asked curiously. Boss Mo, this doesn't seem to be your style. Since when were you so noisy? Tan Lin smiled and asked. There has been a lot of joyous news in the Tan family, and everyone in the circle knows that your father has married a woman younger than you. Don't you hate her at all? Mo Jinrong asked. Of course I hate her, but what's the use? My mom passed away 4 years ago, and Grandpa agreed to this marriage. It doesn't matter how much I oppose to it. Tan Lin forced a smile. So you chose to return to the country? Mo Jinrong asked. No, I disappeared 4 years ago because of a woman. Recently, I heard that she returned back to the country, so I came back to take a look. Tan Lin smiled and he thought about the woman's appearance. Woman? A man like Master Tan, and there is still a woman that can enter your sight? Mo Jinrong teased. Of course, I still remember her bright eyes. Tan Lin recalled the beautiful memories. Bright eyes? Mo Jinrong suddenly asked. Where did you see her? At a tea party abroad. Why, you met her before? Tan Lin frowned. Does she have a red mole on her ear? Mo-san asked. Yeah, I think so. Tanlin continued to recall. Did you come back because of her? Mojin was perplexed. Yeah, the last time I saw her was 4 years ago at a masquerade party. She was dancing beautifully. Tanlin smiled. Do you remember what she looked like? Mojin asked. She was wearing a mask and couldn't be seen at all. I knew she was beautiful, and I went to find her after that, but she used a fake name. I haven't seen her since then, and it just so happened that my mom passed away, so I put it aside. Dad had a new family, and I wanted to come back to try my luck. Tanlin continued drinking. You seem very interested in her. Tanlin felt that something was strange. I'm just curious, Mojin smiled as he said. How's your illness? I remember that you were seriously ill 4 years ago and lost 5 wives. Is that true? Tanlin asked. Although he had seen it in the news, he didn't believe it. Much better. How is it? Do you want to cooperate? Mojin asked. Cooperate? What do you want? Tanlin asked curiously. The Tan Corporation and the Mo Corporation are not enemies in terms of money. If you guarantee we can cooperate, the Mo family will give the Tan Corporation funds. You just need to inform me when you find that woman. Mojin wouldn't let go of this chance. Are you interested in her? Is she important to you, or have you been hurt by her? Tanlin is getting more and more curious. Chapter 208, Trouble in the Bar. Don't ask too many questions. As long as you agree, I can give you everything you want, Mojin said solemnly. The Tan Corporation has nothing to do with me. I don't need your help. Tanlin rejected the suggestion. Just then, many women in revealing clothing suddenly entered and stood in a row. Who let you in? Mojin asked softly. Sir, someone asked me to pick a few girls to come over and say he would pay for the cost, the man answered. Get out, we don't need it here. Mojin spoke in a deep voice. The man saw that the situation didn't seem right and immediately told the girls to leave. Who did this? Tanlin asked. He's the only one who knows I'm here. Mojin stood up and was about to leave when he saw a woman dancing a fiery dance in the middle of the stage. The men in the audience cheered. Tanlin walked over and looked at the woman on stage, clapping his hands in praise. It seems that a small place produces talent as well. Mojin walked out of the room and found the person on stage familiar. She had a sexy dance style, high ponytail, and bright red lips. She was the focus of the entire audience. You like it too? Tanlin smiled. When the woman turned around, Mojin was shocked. Lan Anran. Why is she dancing here? The men in the audience looked at Anran as though they were looking at their prey. However, Mojin didn't stop her. He knew that Mo Chang-wen was testing him and that he might be watching from the bar. If he had called Anran down, Mo Chang-wen would definitely suspect him. He was a paranoid person and would simply believe him. Mojin glanced at it a few times before turning to leave. Anran glanced at Mojin with the corner of her eyes, watching him leave before ending the dance and leaving the stage. She had long received news from Mo Chang-wen that since she had agreed to cooperate with him, she would have to act to the end. However, she couldn't let this old fox keep threatening her with Anran. She needed to think of a new plan. Anran was just about to leave when several men surrounded her, stretched out their fat hands, and handed her their name cards. Miss, you look good. Our company is hiring models. I think you can give it a try. The man who spoke with a big belly and an obscene smile. Anran didn't even glance at him directly walking around. You insolent brat, the man cursed behind her. Anran pretended not to hear. There were way too many people today, and she didn't want to be in the limelight. Anran wore her original clothes and walked towards the door. Suddenly, several men knocked her out with a stick, attempting to drag her to the washroom. Just then, Mojin walked towards the door and let Mo-san follow after Anran. Bars weren't good places. A beautiful woman like Anran might be harmed. The moment Mo-san entered from the side door, he saw Anran being dragged away by several men. He had a bad feeling and hurried forward. Stop! What are you trying to do in broad daylight? Who are you? Mind your own business, the men threatened. I don't care. I've called the police and they'll be here soon. Do you still want to wait for them? No-san threatened. They looked at each other and smiled. We're not afraid. Mind your own business. This person is ours. The man prepared to drag her out. Put her down. No-san's solid expression didn't stop them. Beat him. The man was impatient. The bar wasn't a mess. No-san was originally from the Special Forces, but he hadn't practiced in many years and had gained weight, making fighting a little strenuous. Mojin took advantage of the chaos and carried Anran out, preparing to get into the car and leave. Put her down, the fatty behind rushed over and said. Mojin turned and stretched out his long legs, hitting the fatty in the chest. He calmly turned and placed Anran in the car. Who are you? How dare you meddle in other people's business? A man with a bruised face spoke. I don't care. Mojin looked at him coldly. You're courting death. The fatty stood up, grabbed a beer bottle and smashed it at Mojin. Mojin turned and kicked the fatty with a roundhouse kick, but the beer bottle accidentally scratched his leg, causing blood to flow. I don't care who you are. From today onwards, I don't want to see you in Wrong City again. Mojin straightened his clothes and spoke coldly. Just then, Mo-san rushed over with bruises on his face. Young Master Ai, hurry up and deal with these people. Wrong City can't tolerate them. Mojin turned, got into the car, and left with Anran. Young Master, have you forgotten me? Mo-san shouted, but the car had already left. The few of you are in trouble, Mo-san struggled as he said. Mo-san, who was that woman? Tan-Lin looked at it for a long time, feeling that Mojin seemed to care about her. Mo-san whispered something in Tan-Lin's ear. What, he? Tan-Lin was shocked. Chapter 209, Mojin is injured. Mojin drove quickly, constantly looking at Anran. At this time, even though Mo Chang-wan was watching him, he couldn't care less. Mojin drove Anran to the hospital and gave her a thorough checkup. Doctor, how is she? Mojin asked nervously. She's alright, it's just a superficial wound. She'll be fine after some rest, the doctor explained. Mojin felt relieved and sat beside Anran for more than an hour before she woke up. Mojin, where am I? Anran's head hurt and she struggled to sit up. The hospital. Why would you go to such a place? Mojin asked solemnly. Mo Chang threatened me with Yanran. I had no choice. Since I agreed to cooperate with him, I have to put on an act until the end. Yanran twisted her neck. It was sore. This time it should be Mo Chang-wen's fault. Mojin guessed. I can't be reduced to his tool again, or Yanran will always be in trouble. Yanran wasn't worried about herself. She was worried about her younger brother. I remember your uncle has an illegitimate son. He's a good target. Yanran thought of the illegitimate child because she had been paying close attention. What do you want to do? Mojin asked cautiously. It's nothing. I'm just returning the favor. Yanran smiled and was a little surprised to see a pool of blood on the ground. Are you injured? Mojin didn't feel anything at first, but hearing her words, he suddenly felt the pain. Doctor! Doctor! Anran shouted as she lifted Mojin wound. The wound was very long, and it was on his calf, so one could vaguely see his bones. Why are you so careless? Anran was heartbroken. Just then, the doctor rushed over when he heard voices and sent Mojin to the emergency room. He had to get more than 30 stitches. Saying that I was getting late, Anran sent Mojin back to the Mo family. Be careful. Anran helped Mojin to bed to rest. It's already so late. Are you still going home? Mojin asked. I ran out of the house. If I don't go back, Mom and Dad will scold me tomorrow. Anran smiled and said. Mojin nodded and both sides felt silent. Thank you for saving me today, Anran spoke softly. It's nothing. You should be thanking Mo-san. He's injured. Mojin laid in bed and said, Okay, I will. I'm leaving. Have a good rest. Anran said goodbye and walked out the door, feeling like something was missing. She turned back, gave Mojin a kiss, and left. Mojin was in a little daze. He touched the area on his face, and the corner of his mouth lifted. It was 4 a.m. the next day when she returned home. Anran crept into the room. Sis, where have you been? She had just switched the lights and saw Yanran sitting in her room, looking at her blankly. Rascal, why aren't you asleep yet? Ayn Rand spoke softly. I've been waiting for you. Did you secretly run to see brother-in-law? Ayn Rand interrogated, crossing his arms like a judge. Yes, why? Ayn Rand admitted generously. Sis, it's not safe for you to see him so late at night. Men are all perverts. I'm doing this for your sake. I know because I'm a man. I'm going to tell Mom and Dad that you're being disobedient, Ayn Rand said anxiously. You brat, what kind of man are you? We were discussing something, not a date. Don't talk nonsense. Go to sleep, Ayn Rand urged. What kinds of matters do you need to talk about at night that you can't talk about during the day? Ayn Rand persisted. You don't understand. If you continue to talk nonsense, I'll make Mom and Dad deduct all of your allowance, Ayn Rand threatened. Fine, I'll keep quiet. You can't look for him anymore. It's not safe. Ayn Rand left in a hurry. What a nag. Ayn Rand was annoyed. Zhao Shimi, who was next door, heard everything through the wall. She was thinking about how she could have threatened Ayn Rand. This is a good idea. If she could find dirt on this brat, If she could find dirt on this brat, wouldn't there be hope for the house? The next day, Ayn Rand didn't have classes in the morning. She suddenly remembered that the medicine hadn't been given to Mo Jinrong yet, so she went to the Mo family early in the morning. Because of his injured leg, Mo Jinrong didn't go to the office and stayed in his rooms to read his information. Young Master, Miss Lan is here again, Mo-san came in to report. Oh, let her in. I'll go out after I change my clothes. Mo Jinrong suddenly felt that it wasn't appropriate for him to wear pajamas. He went to the closet to pick out a suit, changed, and limped downstairs. Jinrong, are you feeling better? Ayn Rand wore a floral dress and looked fresh. I'm feeling much better. Why are you here again? Mo Jinrong asked. I just wanted to see how your injuries were and to thank Butler Bo for his heroic actions last night. These are the pastries I have for Butler Mo. The roast goose is from Xia Wan. I hope you don't mind. Ayn Rand handed the food over to Mo-san. I don't mind. I really don't mind. This is a rare treasure. It's my duty to help you. Mo-san beamed. These 2 bottles contain medicines for injuries. Your injuries are different, so the medicine is different as well. The red one is for Jinrong, and the green one is for Butler Mo. Ayn Rand smiled and placed the 2 bottles of medicine beside them. The red medicine was mixed with a special medicine concocted by Ayn Rand and could be used to treat angina and leg injuries. She hoped that it would be very useful. Chapter 210, Cooperation. Miss Lan, why were you dancing in the bar? Mo-san suddenly remembered. Nothing, it was just a passing desire. Ayn Rand smiled in embarrassment. He must have found out about yesterday's incident. He probably doesn't trust us anymore, Mo Jinrong frowned and said. It's alright, now is the time for me to threaten him. His illegitimate son hasn't been doing very well recently, and not too long ago, he was speeding and knocked someone down. Mo Changwen is using money to blackmail them. If he dares to touch Ayn Rand, this matter can be blown up. Ayn Rand smiled and said, No matter what, Mo Changwen is still a member of the Mo family. Although old Mrs. Mo didn't say anything, she still values her reputation. The Mo family's reputation isn't to be tarnished so easily, Mo Jinrong reminded her. Then look after your uncle well. I don't want our relationship to be hurt because of this. Although Ayn Rand was smiling, the smile on her face was a little horrifying. I'll send someone to keep an eye on him, don't worry, Mo Jinrong spoke coldly. All right, I believe you. Ayn Rand picked up the ointment and stood to speak with Mo Jinrong. Let me help you apply it. She unscrewed the cap and waited for Mo Jinrong to allow her to apply the medicine. It's all right, I'll do it myself. Mo Jinrong limped away, not daring to look at Ayn Rand's eyes. Young master, what are you so embarrassed about? Your face is flushed too. I have something to do, so I'll get going. Mo-san smiled and left sensibly. Mo Jinrong looked straight ahead and sat on the sofa solemnly. Why are you embarrassed? You're injured because of me, so it's only right that I help you. Ayn Rand sat down and moved Mo Jinrong's legs onto her. She lifted the gauze, and a long and deep wound appeared in front of her. She dripped the medicine onto Mo Jinrong's wound with a heartache. Ah! Mo Jinrong let out a weak voice and frowned slightly. His gaze landed on Ayn Rand and he was stunned. This girl was quite pretty. You know how to make medicine? Mujinro smiled and suddenly asked. Ayn Rand paused for a moment and smiled. No, I bought it from the pharmacy. How could I know? She quickly wrapped the wound and gently placed Mo Jinrong's leg down. Rongzi walked over silently and asked, Jinrong, you said you found that woman. Where is she? I want to see which woman is more powerful than me, daring to treat me like this. Rongzi was a little angry. Ayn Rand and Mo Jinrong looked at each other. Young Master Rong. Long time no see. Yeah, hello. Rongzi didn't care about Ayn Rand. He just wanted to know where that person was. She's right in front of me, Mo Jinrong spoke indifferently. Where? Don't keep me in suspense. There's only you and me here, and land. Rongzi trailed off as he looked at Ayn Rand in shock. You. He opened his mouth in surprise, his eyes widening. He pointed at Ayn Rand, unable to say anything for a long time. Yeah, me. Ayn Rand smiled and said, Jinrong, when did you become such a jokester? Isn't this lady your wife? You said she's a countryside girl. How could she? Rongzi still didn't believe it. How could he lose to a countryside girl? Ayn Rand looked at Mo Jinrong in surprise. He didn't expect her to be a countryside girl in his eyes. Yes, it's her. I have given her the mission to find Zero. Mo Jinrong sat calmly on the sofa and said, We have met before? Rongzi suddenly remembered Ayn Rand's words and was a little curious. Of course, more than once. It's pity you didn't know. Ayn Rand smiled brightly. She investigated Rongzi before and had a clear understanding of his background. She was in the top 3 of the hacker world, and Rongzi was in 4th. Rongzi was on the verge of tears. He didn't expect the Almighty he had been searching for to be by his side, and she's Mo Jinrong's wife. How can you prove that you're Q? Rongzi raised his suspicions. Anyone could impersonate Q, but they needed evidence. 3 years ago, during a hacker exchange competition in Country M, you fought with someone and you lost. That person was me. Ayn Rand smiled and said, What? Nonsense. That person was clearly a man. How is this possible? Besides, I checked all the records you participated in. But your name wasn't there at all, Rongzi said. You know a term called alias, right? Back then, in order to participate in the competition, I cut my hair short and changed my name. That's why I've been hiding so well these past few years. Ayn Rand spoke proudly. It's really you. Rongzi believed her completely. It's me, but since you know, I hope you will keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, you'll also experience the knowledge that everyone has seen me is now dead. You must keep your mouth shut. Ayn Rand pretended to be powerful to scare Rongzi. Jinrong, don't scare him. Have you investigated Zero? Mo Jinrong asked. I'm investigating. What's the hurry? Ayn Rand placed the ointment down and she smiled. Listen, since you are Q, can you cooperate with me? Rongzi suddenly asked. Seriously? Cooperate? Ayn Rand looked at him questioningly. Rongzi, Mo Jinrong called after him. What? You're allowed to look for her, but I'm not? Rongzi smiled and said,